that you will see regarding Australia is that, well, actually, most Muslims in Australia are good, so it's just Islamophobic. Piers Morgan posted this response to Tommy Robinson he said, "You would have wanted Ahmed deported when he came back to Australia from Syria." Yeah, sorry, that's a little bit Australian because I'm in the mode. Here's the thing. Yes, but also the shooters.
Yes. Yeah, more importantly.
Yeah.
The guys who are under investigation.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the truth. Sure, there are some Muslims who can be good Samaritans. I get that. And sure, there can be plenty of Muslims who do good things. And sure, there can be plenty of Muslims who act in a way that is the equivalent of anathema to the Islamic ideology. I know I'm mixing terms there. If they are more secular and they don't, for example, want to kill all infidels. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Muslims don't belong in Western civilization as they seek to subvert it. They don't. I'm getting pretty close to the point where they have to actively denounce it to be in our borders. They have to actively denounce it to be in our borders. Yeah, religious freedom. We don't allow all religions. We don't allow cults. We don't allow cults that are death cults. We don't allow cults that sacrifice people. We don't allow cults in this country or gangs that expressly outline the murder of an entire group of people. That's illegal. I think Islam gets really close. I think it's really close. My source, the Quran. Another source, exactly what they are preaching in mosques in Australia.
We can't take away from the fact, first and foremost, that jihad is definitely part of our deen. And as Muslims, we should never ever shy away from this. But Allah has preferred the mujahideen over those who remain, with a great reward. And Allah Azza wa Jal prefers those who go out and fight in His path, and He prefers them over those who sit idle.
أيها المسلمون عباد الله، من صفات اليهود الغدر والخيانة،
أنه لا حل إلا بالجهاد في سبيل الله.
No solution other than jihad. Jihad continues until Judgment Day. Jihad is the only solution when it comes to infidels. These are just, by the way, just examples in Australia. What do you think would happen in the States if you had a church praising McVeigh? What do you think would happen if you had a church basically surrounding the Bundy Ranch, which was a dispute over, I believe it was largely mineral rights or land rights? I mean, we saw what happened in Waco, and they actually weren't even hurting anybody. You could argue that it was, well, not argue it was a cult. You could argue that what they were doing there was immoral, absolutely.
But they also weren't out there encouraging the defense of something that's not under attack.
Right. Right.
You have to, what do you mean, the only solution? To what?
Well, here's the thing.
Who's doing anything to you?
That's what jihad is. Jihad is a spiritual war, right? Jihad, they will say, well, it means spiritual war. Okay, well, is that outlined? Yes, it is. Anywhere that Islam does not dominate, anywhere that is not an Islamic society requires subjugation. Jihad means it's a constant struggle. That's what it is. Imagine any Christian church in this country saying, killing all, waging war against anyone who is Christian. Just imagine, take a preacher, a Southern preacher, and anyone who doesn't accept Christ, they are your enemy. You will give them a chance to accept Christ. And if they don't, you will kill them. You will follow them from sea to sea, Atlantic to Pacific. Gee, the murder is terrific. You will murder every single last person who rejects Christ. It's the only way to deal with non-Christians in this country. And we will do it until the day of judgment when the horsemen come back. Until then, kill every single last non-Christian if they do not convert. Praise be to Jesus God. If you heard that in this country, now do it at thousands of churches. You think that'd be allowed? Now go down to your local mosque. Go ahead, clip that out of context, people. I dare you. Think it would be tolerated for a second?
No.
I just swapped Muhammad, Allah for Jesus and God. That's the kind of sermon they get. We don't need anyone who subscribes to that ideology, that religion, in the West. We don't. We just had 2 other Islamic terrorists kill National Guardsmen in D.C. I mean, this happens all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And we try and act like, well, most of them, well, sure, most of them are good. If you had a church that preached that, most members still wouldn't go out and kill people because they would be afraid. It doesn't mean that they're unsupportive of the idea. 198 million Muslims worldwide. What I just presented to you as a sermon, if you had 30 million Americans who subscribe to that, for crying out loud, we had people on IRS targeting lists, auditing lists for parent-teacher conferences, for going to Tea Party protests. And we act like this is remotely acceptable because we are the world? Well, as you say, we are the world and coexist, they specifically preach do not coexist.
Yeah.
That's it. We have to make a decision now. I think it needs to be renounced.
I think absolutely. I mean, we've just, for some reason, after 9/11, for some reason, we just got to the point where we're like, oh, I guess it's not politically correct to call this out anymore. Like we can't have the conversation. Again, one of those moments where the left tells us what we can and can't say and talk about. We can't say that this is even radical Islam, which a lot of us took offense to. It's like, well, you don't have to really be that radical. This is Islam. You can just say that. But even radical Islam, like their goal is not to come in and be a part. Their goal is to come in and overthrow. We've never allowed that either. No matter what it comes in under the veil of, religion or otherwise. You can't come in and plot to destroy our culture and fundamentally change what this nation is. Why are we not allowed to have that conversation anymore? Why are we not seeing politicians and leaders call it out for what it is? Not against all Muslim people, like you said. Most of the people that heard that sermon would not be going out in the streets, but we wouldn't be saying that after the 5th or 6th attack. Well, but most of them are nice. Yeah, but some of them aren't. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's an ideology problem. Can we deal with the root cause of this issue, please?
Here's what you do. Here's the test. Okay? Let's just say so you don't want to ban all Muslims. All right? Let's start with this. Yes, Sarah Hakim. Do you reject jihad? Do you reject the concept of jihad? Do you reject the spiritual principle of jihad? Anyone who doesn't answer yes emphatically to all gets their deportation papers. That's where I line up.
100%.
Let's go on. Here's
really before we do, there was some late kind of breaking stuff about the Sun. Apparently, they're now reporting that he was associated with a Sydney-based Islamic cell, Islamic State cell. It's like, oh, okay. I get it. So the government's going to be able to ferret all this stuff out. You don't need guns because we're going to go in and make sure that these things don't happen, except it did.
Yeah.
And it was somebody born in your country. So all of your safeguards mentally, and a guy that was there for almost 30 years or maybe just a little over 30 years, just 27 years. That's the guy.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck stopping it without a gun to protect yourself. Good luck.
You know what? And yes, it's relevant, but I almost don't want to spend time on it because I don't want people to think, well, that should be the threshold. Get the montage ready again. Here's my threshold just as a starting point. And anyone who disagrees with this, to me, is not a friend of Western civilization, of Christian society. Let's play that montage of the imams just in Australia.
We can't take away from the fact, first and foremost, that jihad is definitely part of our deen. And as Muslims, we should never ever shy away from this. But Allah has preferred the mujahideen over those who remain with a great reward. And Allah Azza wa Jal prefers those who go out and fight in His path, and He prefers them over those who sit idle.
أيها المسلمون عباد الله، من صفات اليهود الغدر والخيانة.
أنه لا حل
No
إلا
solution
بالجهاد في
other
سبيل
than
الله.
jihad for the sake of Allah. Jihad continues until Judgment Day. Jihad for the sake of Allah is the only solution when it comes to the infidel. Okay, so anyone in attendance there, I would be out with an entire unit and a clipboard. Hey, you attend this place regularly? Yeah. What did you think of the message? And anyone who responds with any words other than, I was absolutely shocked, I think it's abhorrent, and I will never be back again, and I am converting to Christianity, any response outside of that is, okay, thank you, right this way, and they're out of the country. All right, let's go on to they will call evil good. Animal Farm. This is what happens. Islam is
animated,
peaceful.
it's fine.
Islam is peaceful. Christianity is intolerant.
Right.
Right? Socialism is good. Free enterprise is evil. And by the way, capitalism, as you know it today, cronyism is not what we're talking about here. Free enterprise, nothing has brought more people out of poverty and created more class mobility than free enterprise, than relatively free markets, with, of course, regulation that's necessary. Socialism has pulled no one out of poverty, just to be clear. It's never happened.
Killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Lots.
Not once.
I guess that's pulling them out of poverty.
I guess so.
Well, they go off
That's
the
true.
records. Like your poverty number goes down.
Well, it has the added benefit of decreasing the surplus population.
It's true.
That's a big thing with the socialists, right?
Yep.
So now we get to Animal Farm, which is, of course, if you know Orwell, a famous piece of writing. But today, before that, young Americans, 18 to 29, they're becoming far more warm-hearted towards socialism, negative on capitalism. So positivity toward the idea of capitalism as a system, only 50%. Socialism, 62%. Communism, 32%.
Well, that's strange.
And it's always those who haven't lived it. Ask Cuban migrants what they think. Ask people who fled the USSR. Ask them what they think. So this brings us to Animal Farm, a piece of literature that was rabidly anti-authoritarian, socialist, communist, versus the film that's being made now. And this is how we find ourselves to be the frog in the boiling water. Constant propaganda. It's time for Then and Now. Okay, so let's go back to then. Animal Farm, original from Orwell. It was basically an allegory for the Russian Revolution. The old major was Karl Marx, Snowball was Trotsky, Napoleon was Stalin. And basically, it's a story in which the animals take over the farm only for that revolution to give way to complete totalitarianism. And I know you're going to have some people out there who either went to college or since they're grasping at straws for some relevant example of socialism working, and they'll say, well, Orwell, Catalonia, and anarcho-syndicalism. Shut up.
We've dealt with it before.
We've dealt with it before. It's ridiculous. It just broke down into warring factions, and it lasted about 2.5 years, okay? And this is shorthand. Let's go to now. And this is what's funny when people get mad about cultural appropriation. Do we have a problem with taking a famous piece of writing, taking its original intent, and using it to convey the exact opposite? Like, how is that not a problem? How is that not a slap in the face to the legacy of Orwell?
How do you not feel like you're disrespecting him?
Right.
It's the same man who writes 1984, which is about doing exactly this.
Yes, exactly this. That's a very good point.
And then they put on they call it a cautionary tale.
Yes.
By the way, we'll see the trailer later, but you'll notice a cautionary tale.
Yeah, cautionary tale. Well, okay, originally it was a cautionary tale against this idea of communist socialist revolution that almost always, it leads to worse.
That you'll have a revolution based on that communist or socialistic ideas, and it just kind of veils it for being.
And then you'll end up creating a worse monster than you were fighting. So the movie now is actually, instead of a critique of socialism and big overreaching government, about capitalism and businesses.
Wow.
So remember you had the general was Marx, and we just talked about how Snowball was Trotsky and Stalin. Well, now the big villain is Elon Musk's mom. And it's so on the nose that they basically have Cybertruck Lamborghinis.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
And in case you were not fully clear or convinced, Andy Serkis, a guy famous for playing someone who lives in a cave, he said that this film was specifically adapted for modern audiences and that they found a way to wedge politics in there, antithetical to Orwell's original intent.
I can see why it connected with you, but why was it so important over 10 years in the making for you to say, got to do this?
Because it couldn't be more relevant than today, and history repeats itself. And although Orwell was writing about totalitarianism in particularly in Russia in 1945, 1946, this book holds up as an incredible distillation of what it is to be oppressive, what it is to face authoritarianism. But what we've done is we've contemporized it, and we wanted to make it for there hadn't been a retelling of this that really connects with a modern audience. So we wanted to. We've couched it in such a way that it feels like a family film, but the themes, the darker themes, are all there. They're all present. All the Orwellian, nature of it is incredibly powerfully sort of under the surface. But we've smuggled the politics in so that it's a debate that can be opened up between young people and families and old. It's really watchable by everyone from 8 to 80.
Yeah, this is in a long line of perverse remakes. Not to be outdone, an Indian production company is remaking The Grapes of Wrath. Here's the finale.
The milk's gone bad!
Anybody who's read Grapes of Wrath, you know how it ends. Comment below. Like, I was shocked.
I didn't.
I wanted to make sure that I didn't get this wrong. The film is produced by the American company Angel Studios. And Angel Studios, Gerald, they produce...
I think at the beginning they were part of the team that did Chosen.
Right?
They split.
Did a lot of Christian stuff.
Yeah.
You guys see, when we talk about the problem with the modern church, hey, if you guys are helping to produce what is effectively pro-communist, which, by the way, seeks to completely destroy everything Christians hold dear, the nuclear family, the idea of a godly society. Hey, if Christians aren't standing guard and protecting children against this kind of propaganda, but actually helping produce it, what value do you serve as Christian men? I mean, this is a film that was so anti-communist. It was banned in the Soviet Union until its fall in